Hello, friends. Welcome to episode 1124 of the Juicebox Podcast. Ethan and his ex have a 14-year-old daughter who was diagnosed with type 1 diabetes when she was 11. Today I'll be speaking with Ethan to learn more about his daughter, who's very athletic, plays volleyball, and spends her time 50-50 between her mom and dad's house. Nothing you hear on the Juicebox Podcast should be considered advice, medical or otherwise. Always consult a physician before making any changes to your healthcare plan. Don't forget to save 40% off of your entire order at CozyEarth.com. All you have to do is use the offer code JUICEBOX at checkout. That's JUICEBOX at checkout to save 40% at CozyEarth.com. When you place your first order for AG1 with my link, you'll get 5 free travel packs and a free year supply of vitamin D. Drink AG1.com/juicebox. If you're not already subscribed or following in your favorite audio app, please take the time now to do that. It really helps the show. And get those automatic downloads set up so you never miss an episode. This episode of the Juicebox Podcast is sponsored by the Dexcom G7, made for all types of diabetes. Dexcom G7 can be used to manage type 1, type 2, and gestational diabetes. You're going to see the speed, direction, and number of your blood sugar right on your receiver or smartphone device. Dexcom.com/juicebox. This show is sponsored today by the glucagon that my daughter carries, Gvoke HypoPen. Find out more at gvokeglucagon.com/juicebox.
I'm Ethan. I am a proud parent of a type 1 athletic daughter who's 14, getting ready to start high school. Again, very athletic. She's a great volleyball player. We're embarking on our 3rd year of this new lifestyle change of diabetes.
Ethan, she was diagnosed when she was 11?
Yeah, she went into DKA in September of 2020.
2020, wow. Oh, okay, we'll talk about that in a minute. But first, tell people what you said before we started recording.
Oh, that this was about a year ago. I remember seeing something on Facebook posting. I think there was like 3 questions, more like along the lines of, being a parent of, but I don't remember the gist of it, honestly. So I tried looking it up. I'm like, okay, well, let's just do this. This is a diabetic podcast, so let's go for it. But yeah, I don't really remember
That's fantastic.
The context of it.
The schedule is so far out in the future that, so here's what ends up happening is I start getting pressured around this time of year, like mid-July, August. And people are like, I want to be on the show. I want to be on the show. I'm like, all right, well, my schedule's full. Like right now, Ethan, if you signed up to be on the show today, I think I don't have an opening until 3rd week of January. February is almost full already. So that's the situation we find ourselves in. And so because people are trying to jump on the schedule because it fills so quickly, their length of time to be on the show, like just to record, is sometimes it's a year after you sign up, and then 6 months after that for your episode. It takes 18 months to hear your voice on the podcast, basically.
Oh wow, really? Okay, so that's okay. I was actually gonna say that to the end, like when would you expect to have this run? But
no, your daughter should be able to listen to it at her wedding, I think, for sure. So, and I've tried a couple of things to pare it back. Like I've stopped. I'm like, oh, I'm not going to take any more, recording for a while. And then the emails keep coming. I want to talk about this. I'm like, oh, that's a great idea. We should talk about that. I'm gonna have to start putting out episodes twice a day.
Yeah,
to keep up with it. Yeah. But anyway, I appreciate you keeping the appointment, even though you were half not sure what it was about anymore. Anyway,
like I said, I just remember seeing it, and I responded to you, and it was a schedule, and a year later, here we are. Right. I have to say, it was a fast year.
Yeah. it helps you realize that life moves by too quickly.
Yeah,
So
exactly.
all right. So your daughter is diagnosed at 11 years old, 2020 in DKA. Now, my question is, did you see it coming or did it completely surprise you?
It's a great question. Actually, around this time, 2020, she started to drop some weight, but it's one of those things that her mom and I kind of chalked it up as she's going through a growing spurt type thing, and but keeping an eye on it. And what happened was the night before she actually went into DKA, or about a week or so, but definitely the night before, I started noticing that she was drinking a lot of water. And the afternoon before she went in, this was a Monday evening, we went to grab something to eat, and as we were waiting for our food, I had ran over to the grocery store next door, and she asked me, she's like, "What's going on?" I'm like, I need to stock up on water. You're drinking like a fish, And we got home, we ate. She actually ate more than she out ate me, which sometimes that can be easily done, but not really. And I was like, wow, but again, I was watching her like drop this weight again, thinking, because she did have like this crazy growth spurt in there too as well. And then that night when she was going to bed, I had actually told my mother, I had said, I think she's diabetic. She's like, when I go, she's drinking this water. I'm just like, there's just something that's not. I'm kind of getting a strange sense that I think she needs to be checked. Mm-hmm. And then that next morning, I was actually I worked from home, and I was working, and I went and check on her because she was just starting home, because this was COVID. This was still during the pandemic, so she was homeschooled. So she wouldn't get online for another few hours, like at least another 3 hours by the time I was up. So I would so there was some gap, and luckily, grandma was available and went to go. She was actually leaving for work, but something held her around that morning, and went in her room and had seen that she actually had gotten sick. And then that's where I was just like, I just kicked into, I have to take her in, not, chalking it up with a stomach bug or anything like that. I'm like, she has to go in. So at that point, when she got to the ER, which was during the pandemic, was kind of difficult to get her in as well, because it was like, is it COVID? I'm like, COVID was so far away from my mind at that point. And I don't have any experience with diabetes, but it was just that instinct there.
Yeah. What made you think diabetes though, the day or two before?
No, her water intake.
But that told you something. So you knew a little bit about it.
That's pretty much, yeah. That's kind of all exposure wise. But so the water intake, I thought was her water intake had like triple. Like it was, she drinks water. We know but not the way how she was like drinking. That.
Okay. All right. So, okay, great. So you snap into action. You take her to the hospital, I imagine, and COVID makes it a little weird, but you get in. What do you learn about her blood sugar after she's admitted?
After she was admitted, because we had to kind of keep swapping in and out, I wasn't in there when her first diagnosis with her blood sugars, so I can't remember exactly the range. I just remember getting because she was actually she had to get transferred to a children's hospital, mm-hmm. and which was about an hour away. So we were waiting for a transport, and that's where I got the because they were only letting one parent in at a time. Her mom had came out and said they diagnosed her as being a diabetic.
Mm-hmm. Are you guys together?
No, we're co-parent.
Okay. So she was with you when you figured it out. Do you have like a time later to go back, like, because of the co-parenting situation? Was your ex thinking, if she was your ex, I'm sorry, was she thinking the same thing? Did she notice stuff going on? Were you communicating it? What was that process like prior to being at the hospital?
We both knew there was the weight loss and the eating more. I had not yet voiced my concern. Like I said, it was the night before, to where like it triggered that we have to get her in. So I hadn't even made that call yet. This was like while I was really just thinking this, less than 12 hours, here we go.
I see.
Yeah.
Yeah. Wow.
But leading up to that, we had been like, she's, like I said earlier, we were kind of chalking it up as to like, she's going through, her growth spurt being a kid.
Yeah. Yeah. You just think she's stretching out, right?
Yeah,
like losing weight because she's getting taller.
Yeah.
I think that's what everybody thinks. So, okay. So she was in DK. So did they keep her for a number of days?
Yeah. She was in PICU for 4 days.
That seems about right. Now, when she comes home, does she go to her mom's or she go to you?
When she got discharged, she came. We have a 50-50. So, but when she got discharged, she came home to me for our scheduled visitation.
That's what I was going to say. Like, did it happen to fall on your day? Is that how it worked out?
Yeah, it happened. Her discharge happened to fall during my time. Yes.
So then, how do you guys learn about this? Do you learn about it? I don't know what your relationship's like, I guess, but are you in the same room learning about this? Are you gathering information and sharing it back and forth with each other? How does that work?
We were actually we were both there spending the night. I think there's only one night to where we actually were not in there together. Mm-hmm. But we were both learning it. They had us both on the same schedule,
That's
both
great.
Crash course at the same time.
Yeah, no, that's good. It really is. Because I think when the information gets disseminated to one person, I don't know, it's tough, right? Like you don't always know what to share, and there's a lot of questions, and if you're not in the same house when the questions arise, it might be difficult. So
and we still do that to this day. Like I said, 3 years into this, if there's any questions or any because this is that thing. This is that, unfortunately, the thing with diabetes. It's every day, every second.
Yeah. So
there is the reassurance that we through co-parenting that we give each other about you can't feel bad or don't be too hard on yourself if she has a pattern to where she's kind of high or she's low. It is kind of winging it. We do have a good exchange communication of, okay, this is what her pattern was for like the last 5 days, but she was over there or here. This is what I'm experiencing. Either she's resistant or she's sensitive, just kind of watch out type thing.
Yeah.
And then, it's that first night, like for last night, because that was her first night home for 5 days. And you kind of have to get used to what's been going on for the first couple of days. But again, it's nothing that's static because it's
changes constantly. It really does.
Exactly. Right.
Yeah.
I mean,
Dexcom G7 offers an easier way to manage diabetes without finger sticks. It is a simple CGM system that delivers real-time glucose numbers to your smartphone, your smartwatch, and it effortlessly allows you to see your glucose levels and where they're headed. My daughter is wearing a Dexcom G7 right now, and I can't recommend it enough. Whether you have commercial insurance, Medicare coverage, or no CGM coverage at all, Dexcom can help you. Go to my link, dexcom.com/juicebox, and look for that button that says Get a Free Benefits Check. That'll get you going with Dexcom. When you're there, check out the Dexcom Clarity app or the Follow. Did you know that people can follow your Dexcom? Up to 10 people can follow you. Right now, I'm following my daughter, but my wife is also following her. Her roommates at school are following her. So I guess Arden's being followed right now by 5 people who are concerned for her health and welfare. And you can do the same thing. School nurses, your neighbor, people in your family. Everyone can have access to that information if you want them to have it. Or if you're an adult and you don't want anyone to know, you don't have to share with anybody. It's completely up to you. Dexcom.com/juicebox. Links in the show notes. Links at juiceboxpodcast.com. And when you use my link to learn about Dexcom, you're supporting the podcast. If you take insulin or sulfonylureas, you are at risk for your blood sugar going too low. You need a safety net when it matters most. Be ready with Gvoke HypoPen. My daughter carries Gvoke HypoPen everywhere she goes because it's a ready-to-use rescue pen for treating very low blood sugar in people with diabetes ages 2 and above that I trust. Low blood sugar emergencies can happen unexpectedly, and they demand quick action. Luckily, Gvoke HypoPen can be administered in 2 simple steps, even by yourself in certain situations. Show those around you where you store Gvoke HypoPen and how to use it. They need to know how to use Gvoke HypoPen before an emergency situation happens. Learn more about why Gvoke HypoPen is in Arden's Diabetes Toolkit at gvokeglucagon.com/juicebox. Gvoke shouldn't be used if you have a tumor in the gland on the top of your kidneys called a pheochromocytoma, or if you have a tumor in your pancreas called an insulinoma. Visit gvokeglucagon.com/risk for safety information.
It doesn't matter what she's eating or whatever. You just kind of have to adapt to it, and just go with it.
Was your co-parenting situation harmonious before the diagnosis?
We were getting there, yes.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
Has it gotten, I don't care how it was. My question is, has it gotten better or worse since the diagnosis?
It's gotten better, actually, because I think we had to kind of put everything aside and realize,
that's
we're a team.
Good for you. Seriously, and to your, I don't know what to call her, former partner.
Yeah, she listens, so I'm pretty sure I'll tell her when this one comes out. Yeah, well, she's actually the one who told me about Juicebox.
That's great. Well, I'm really impressed with how you're handling it. It's just what I wanted to say. But I wasn't sure if you were married or not, so I don't know if I'm saying X or if I'm saying, anyway, it doesn't matter to me. But I think it's being handled really well. It's impressive that you moved forward so well, and that you've not just kept it harmonious, but made it better for your daughter. It's really wonderful. Do you guys have other kids together?
No.
Okay, so this is the one. Now, have we figured out, are there autoimmune issues on anybody's family sides?
Not on mine. It's more, I think, on hers, but it's not. I think it's it would be my daughter's second cousin. So I don't think who was also type 1.
Okay.
But I think that based on, if I remember correctly from the doctor, it's like that's not an actual connection because.
Hey, your doctor can say whatever he wants. Seems like a connection to me. Yeah.
It was something like if it was not on the maternal side. I can't remember, but it was like maybe there was too far of a distance between the second. Because it would be her second cousin.
Does your daughter have any other autoimmune issues?
Not that I'm aware of right now. No.
Are you looking for something to knock on, Ethan? Are you like, wait a minute?
Exactly. Yeah, I am.
No, why?
Exactly, right?
Okay. No, that's terrific. So what was her management like out of the hospital? I'm assuming like MDI. Would they give her pens or needles?
That's a good question. We actually we kind of talk about this all the time about how good of a program that we see, some people on Facebook or other groups who are trying to adjust and adapt. So I kind of say how I kind of chalk it up as they taught us old school to where it was drawn. It was pins. Yeah, she was on pins, and then she didn't get her CGM or go to the pod until like 6 plus months after.
Okay, 6 months. Was the CGM first?
The CGM was first, yes.
Okay, and then she got a pump soon after.
Very close. Yeah, okay. They're probably pretty close on top of each other. Yeah.
What leads you to get those devices? Is it your doctor saying you should do this, or is it you checking out, what other people are doing?
It was more the research and just trying to be really kind of being really realistic of having, there is this tool. You have to understand it is technology. It's not going to always be 100%, but it does give you some peace of mind, especially with her going back to school and then being away. How are we going to have visibility on and helping her assist remotely?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And that was the decision to go with the pod and the CGM.
It's a great idea, honestly. Okay, so she's going into high school now. You said she's playing sports. How is she making out during activity?
Yeah, she was playing volleyball about a year or so, or two before before diagnosis, and she hasn't let it stop her at all.
Yeah,
this kid is constantly working out, trying to improve her game. It's hard to get her off the court, but managing it, she does really good. There is like I said, that's the other thing with having the ability to see with the CGM and her with her pump to see what's going on. But knowing, okay, you're going to go from, one clinic or from a 90-minute to 2-hour practice to another practice. And when I say another, sometimes there's probably 90 minutes maybe in between.
Yeah.
So it's like trying to kind of carve up again. Where are you at? And, I get it too. I was an athlete, you're not really probably not hungry, but you have to kind of refuel that. So that's still a learning curve, but it's gotten better, but and then also during games and stuff, even though with the technology, sometimes she loses connectivity and because she plays a club ball and with all the Bluetooth interference, it's not pleasant sometimes because you just have to really kind of go off of her feelings on how she's looking because you won't see it doesn't stay connected all the time.
What pump is she using?
She's using the Omnipod DASH.
The Dash. Okay. No algorithm.
No.
Okay. So, all right. So you're using the connection just to see what her blood sugar is. And do you find that volleyball is like an adrenaline thing? Does her blood sugar try to get high, or does the activity bring it down?
That's a great question. In the beginning, when I say in the beginning, like I would say the first 6-7 months after, like when she had her first season, it was anything was bringing her blood sugars down. I mean, just like, okay, you're going high, let's go for a walk. It was just go for a brisk walk for 10 to 15 minutes. So it was bringing her down. And I would say now for the last 2 years, it's been the complete opposite with what she hit when her teenage hormones started coming in and everything playing a factor.
Yeah.
It actually became more of a resistance. She doesn't go down as easily when she's in very heavy sports.
Okay. Yeah. Activity. No, I was going to say she's right at the age where I was assuming that was happening. Yeah. So yeah, you're going to see it. It changes pretty significantly.
Yeah. She's not dropping like she coming. It's not, that's not the out anymore, of, okay, you're kind of high. Let's go ahead and do something and get you moving. Yeah. Or no, the only time that seems to work with activity is really kind of like throwing her in a pool.
Swimming does it.
Yeah.
Yeah. It makes her drop stuff. Yeah. That's a lot of anaerobic activity.
But that's just really just kind of her just sitting in there.
Oh, really? Oh, maybe she's just chilling out and relaxing.
Yeah, just chilling out and relaxing, and then she can start to drop.
That's
pretty good.
That's interesting. Okay, so let's see. How do you said your can I call what should I call your ex? Your sure. You're like whatever. Yeah. All right.
I'll deal with it later, right?
There's nothing to deal with. I just want to use the right phrasing. I don't know. The lady, the person, I don't know. How did her mom find the podcast? Did she tell you about it?
On Facebook. Okay. I honestly, I think it's just on social media, possibly Facebook.
And I'm assuming it was valuable enough to her that then she told you about it.
Correct. Yeah.
Okay. Do you listen?
I've listened to a few. I'm not an avid listener, but I have listened to a few of them. Don't ask me which ones right now because I'm not going to be able to tell you.
Were they more management based or conversational?
They were more conversational, if I remember correctly.
Interesting. Okay. Is her mom doing stuff with her management that she got from the podcast, and then you kind of go along with it and it's working? So you're like, that's fine?
I know it was, I believe there was one podcast where it was the, how was it? It was about like not being afraid of bolusing, not being afraid of insulin.
Was that something you were struggling with?
And I admit, there's some times to where I can be a little hesitant on giving her, and that's the one thing too that's good about the that I personally like about the Omni is that I can just increase her when she needs to be increased, or we're not afraid to change
settings,
any of the settings. Her basal, if her basal needs to be increased, or you're going higher, or even suspending her. I mean, that's one thing, especially with her being active, depends on what range she is. Maybe she needs to be suspended for a duration, or she's suspended. Yeah, okay, she's going back up. Okay, let's turn it back on. So yeah, there's definitely that flexibility.
It is incumbent upon me, Ethan, to tell you that if you want to suspend basal insulin, you should do a temp basal decrease of 100%, because if you suspend insulin, it won't come back on. So you don't want to put yourself in a situation where you turn off basal, forget to turn it back on. So you can do a temp basal and then set it for an amount of time. And then at the end of the time, it pops back.
You're absolutely correct. And that's actually what we kind of just use that jargon as suspended.
Sure.
But it is a set temp basal that we're actually doing. 100%.
That's excellent.
Yeah.
I'm just, because we're making a podcast and everything, covering the bases. Yeah. Don't suspend your basal, people, because it won't come back on. You have to do temps. Right.
Yeah.
All right. So you like the flexibility of the insulin pump. Would you call yourself, if I had to say one of you was the main caregiver of diabetes, would it be you or her mom?
I think we're actually pretty equal.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. You think you guys you have basically the same style of management?
There is some difference to where, I think there's a slight difference on how we address when to I wouldn't say over bolus, but to giving extra bolus or giving extra insulin. Like I said, I'm more to be a little timid and concerned with the lows. Not in saying that she's not, but a little bit more of I would say a little bit more aggressive than I am when it comes to that. So there's that slight difference there. But like I said, but we are completely equal when it comes to making the adjustments that our daughter needs at that time.
I have to tell you, this is very interesting because I've recorded with people who are, separated, divorced, whatever, co-parent kids. And listening to you talk, it feels like you are like walking through like a field of landmines. And there are women who come on and I'm like, so, does your ex? And they're like, nah, he's an idiot. And I'm like, oh, okay. So I know I'm generalizing, but it just feels like more often the ladies are willing to be like, direct, and guys are always like, no, she's lovely. Everything's fine. Like, I'm not trying to say she would let a low blood sugar. I certainly didn't mean that. That's when you made me laugh with the no, she doesn't do that. Like you corrected yourself, but I understood what you meant. Like nobody's letting your kid be low, but your ex is more aggressive and you're more timid about it. Now, is that a personality thing, or is that something that you've had an experience with insulin that's made you feel that way?
Well, that's a good question because I've experienced her getting sick twice afterwards. And there was one that was really bad too, where she came home from school. She had this like grayish look on her when I picked her up from school, and she said she was feeling fine, but again, just one of those instinct things, like something was kind of off. And later that evening, he had an exorcist episode in the delivery room, and so projectile. But I know she's not going to be happy with me saying that, but she did, and it was having to bring her back up, because she was low, and she's not wanting to eat. So I'm on with her endo, and right before she did that, I talked to her endo because I'm like, how do I deal with it? Because she's not wanting. I know I had to bring her up, and I did check for ketones, and she had moderate ketones at the time.
Oh,
and I'm like, okay, ketones means she needs insulin. She doesn't want to eat. How do I get carbs in her? She's not wanting any juice. She's just being, and I get it. She wasn't feeling well.
Yeah.
So her endo had told me, oh, you guys got to keep bringing it up. And actually, as I was on the phone with her, grandma came out and had said she's getting, because I think the endo had said, if she starts to vomit, then call her back and just watch it, because that can be, her ketones gotten large. And as I was hanging up, that's where I got she's getting sick. And that was one that was really, when I say she was low, she was in like the 50s, if I remember, and trying to bring that up. And then knowing I have to give her insulin.
So she was sick. She was like what we call real people sick. It wasn't like she had an illness of some sort. And then by the way, when you said we had an exorcism, I was like, are these people like doing exorcisms in their house? Like, what do I have to ask about next? And then you were like exorcist. And I was like, oh, okay, I know what he's talking about. He's talking about vomiting. But are you guys, but you had this experience and it was scary enough to you that it stuck to you. Yeah. But she's not sick all the time. So what stops you from being more aggressive on days when illness isn't an issue?
Because of the unknown of how fast she can possibly drop.
Does that happen frequently, or was it just over top of the illness?
No, it's just me. That's a personality thing. That's
Ethan,
just,
Ethan, I'm going to have to leave you too. What are we doing here? I'm just kidding.
You know, that's just me. And that's one of the things I last night, I mean, I didn't get too much sleep last night because she had what I would call a stubborn high, and not being aggressive with giving her. I mean, I was increasing her, seeing how she was going to react, and she
Right.
started going down, and then all of a sudden it's like, okay, we're heading, her trajectory is going in the right direction, and then all of a sudden it's like, nah, haha, playing with you, I'm going back the other way. So yeah.
How many episodes of something did you get through last night? Exactly.
Say it again.
How many episodes of your new show did you get through last night?
What?
While you were sitting up fighting with the blood sugar, were you watching? Were you watching something?
Exactly. No, I was just on social media. So it was just kind of just strolling through social.
Well, so you're doing that thing. You're kind of just you're nickel and diming the high blood sugar because you don't want to cause a low, and then you get a little movement, but then whatever is forcing the blood sugar up is still there, so you haven't overwhelmed it yet. It's coming back up. It's probably dinner, right? Was there fat or protein in dinner?
There was protein in dinner for sure, and that's what I was thinking too. I'm like, okay, this is dinner, and then, but she also has kind of this tendency to where around a certain time frame, between like 3 and 6, to where she'll just kind of drop. Her blood sugars will start to go down, and this is one kind of anticipating that happening, but then I'm going, okay, why didn't I just give her more instead of constantly increasing her?
Yeah, there's two questions in there.
Just going, so I tend to do more of the increasing or just adjusting her basal, and like increasing instead of just going, okay, what is it actually wanting me to give her? It's wanting me to give her, it's saying it wants 2 units. Do I do that? Do I cut it? And sometimes I kind of cut it in half because sometimes again, what I'm getting at is it is a tool. It's a great tool, but it doesn't know exactly what was ingested.
Yeah, right.
High protein. Was it more sugars? What kind of carbs was it? So it doesn't obviously know that.
Yeah.
So that's where I feel like you have to come in with that factor of, okay, this is what she actually had. And then it's like that. It's kind of you're helping it. It's your tool helping you, but then you have to help it too.
Yeah, no, you have to be the one that understands the impact of the food.
Exactly.
Because if dinner had, protein that got digested late and pushed blood sugar back up, if it had fat in it that slowed down digestion, kept the food in her stomach longer, like that's that. Like if she's getting lower every night at 3 a.m., is it possible that like, is she having a snack before bed or something that's sitting in her? Or do you think that you're maybe seeing growth hormone early in the evening that you're being more aggressive with, and then she's getting lower later? Have you figured out what it might be?
There's nothing to really kind of figure that out. Like, okay, this is your certain pattern, what you're exhibiting, because it can also depend on what she did that day as far as activities. Did she go to conditioning? How many practices did she go to? Is she less? Is it more? Because that also takes plays into it too. Because sometimes it's like as soon as she lays down, it's like she's settling, so she's starting to drop.
Yeah.
And I kind of, when we got discharged or we was getting trained, there was that rule of thumb of kind of making sure her blood sugars are like 120 plus. And I actually have a colleague of mine who's I think she says she's type 1.5, but it goes by that rule of thumb too of going to sleep at 120 plus.
And they're drifting down every night.
Or say that again?
Does the blood sugar drift down every night, or does it stay in the 120s sometimes?
It can fluctuate. It does. Honestly, it does. She's active all night. I mean, there's a good patterns to where she'll stay like 100, between maybe like 80 and 100, but then there's the patterns to where she'll stay between 100 and like 140.
Okay. Yeah, so sometimes leaving her high is necessary and sometimes it's not.
Yeah. Sometimes I'll leave her around 140 or maybe even like 160. Depends on the time. I always have to look at the time. Like, okay, it's 10:30. She's 160. Do I just give her a little bit of a bump increase and let's see what happens like around 1:32 a.m. And then, okay, it's time for an adjust again.
Yeah, I guess all the activity is really the linchpin there, trying to figure out when it's happening. Doesn't happen constantly. there's a lot of activity doesn't mean there's activity every day. The activity on top of different meals probably looks different later too. So yeah, boy, it's a lot.
It does.
I commend you for paying attention to it. And it's I mean, it's hard to find patterns and stuff like that is what I was going to say. So like you have to just kind of pay attention. So you see like there's, I don't know, hints that happen along the way. Like you said, like at this certain time, if what's happening at 10 p.m. looks like this, then I might leave the number in one place or the other. You know what else I'm thinking is that it really feels like, I mean, it feels like an algorithm could help her, because if you don't have to, you know, like you're leaving it at 120 in case she falls. But if an algorithm sees her falling, it's going to take the insulin away anyway. So you might be, maybe that is the situation where that would be really helpful. Have you ever thought about it? Omnipod 5?
Actually, wait, hold on a second. I could actually be completely wrong. I think there is a certain period. Yeah, she is. There are, I was completely incorrect. There are certain periods in her program to where it will do the adjustment as well.
Well, so is she using Omnipod 5 already?
Yeah, she is on the 5.
Oh, I thought you said Dash. Well, you did say Dash, but she's on 5.
No, I'm sorry. She's on the Dash, but there is, so that's where I'm excuse me for me being novice here, but
no.
Yeah,
looping.
There are certain periods throughout the day when her in her program to where it will make that adjustment for her.
All right, hold on. We got to pick through this, Ethan, because something don't make sense. So Omnipod DASH does not have an algorithm. It won't shut off basal, automatically turn it on. Omnipod 5 gives insulin, takes insulin away as it's trying to keep you in a range. And Omnipod 5 would be, I'm trying to think of how you could differentiate the two.
Well, it doesn't shut off, but I know that there's a certain point to where it will give her an increase if it needs to when I've programmed it.
It'll give her an increase.
Let me see where.
I think you're just not using the words that I'm expecting to hear. But I'm just, there's some, like, you mean you've done like a temp basal increase?
No, hold on a second.
Take your time.
So, okay, yeah, we're probably just not using the same. So she has how I'm seeing this is it's a target BG and correct above. So if she is 90 and above, it says it will correct, and that's turned on. It's called her bolus calculator.
That's the bolus calculator. Okay. Oh, I see.
Okay.
Yeah, you're just using like different language than I expected. I'm sorry. So in her settings on her Dash, there's the bolus calculator either gives you insulin or doesn't give you insulin based on the target you have set. So for instance, if your target is 110, but you're 90 and you open it up, it's not going to say, give yourself more insulin. If you're 120, it might ask for more insulin, depending on how much insulin's on board. But that's not an algorithm. What I was talking about is Omnipod 5 would actually, it would make boluses and take basal away and add basal and stuff like that on its own. Like literally, like it would give and take away insulin to try to keep her in a range. There's there's episodes about it. You should check them out and see what you think. But that might help, like an actual algorithm making a decision about insulin completely on its own. The way I thought about it for her was, instead of putting her to bed at 120 because you think she's going to drift down, you don't worry about that. And the algorithm will just take away her insulin to try to keep her at a stable number. So I don't know. It's worth looking into.
Okay. Well, thanks for that. Yeah. I mean, I don't think we have it scoped for anytime soon to move over to the 5. So I haven't done, I'll be honest, I haven't done too much. I haven't done my due diligence on that actual product yet. Yeah,
I wouldn't look into anything I wasn't thinking of getting. I was just saying, as you're describing the overnights, I thought, wait, algorithms are maybe the best overnight because there's no extra food, right? You're not eating, and they do a really good job sleeping overnight. Arden uses she's using Loop 3 right now, but her overnight is like, last night was so incredibly stable. Like, it's hard to put into words how stable it was. It's pretty awesome, actually. Yeah, take a look when you get a chance. If, I'm not saying run out and do it or anything like that, or that you even have to, but it's worth understanding for sure.
Absolutely.
How,
Appreciate that.
No, of course. How is your conversations with your daughter about diabetes? Like, how do you think she thinks about it? And what is it as a parent you're considering when you're talking to her?
There was definitely at the beginning, the adjustment. She's my inspiration, to be honest with you. I mean, I could imagine this happening to me at her age and having to deal with it and going to school, but try to keep an open dialogue. There's definitely the good days and bad days, or good weeks and bad weeks. She's coming along great with understanding the management. She surprises me sometimes. Like, she's like, okay, this was on bolus on myself. I'm like, dang, you landed great. You mean, you're all right. Like, okay, and then there's the occasional questions like, okay, this is what I'm gonna have. What do you think I should do? And,
right.
We figure it out, but like I said, she is my inspiration. I tell her that all the time.
Does she mind that her friends know?
Her friends, she has a good supporting cast of friends. There is the occasional dismissive. She just wants to blend, but I always tell her mom, she's special, but she had to get used to that, and realize that she has to let those in her circle understand what's going on with her.
Okay.
And one of the things too, and I explained it to her, I said it's very similar to someone who has a peanut allergy. You're out with your friends and you don't want to hand them a Snickers bar, because they're going to react to that. Or someone who has any other type of reaction, you're going to want to know. You're going to need to know. Your circle is going to need to understand that.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, her circle is very supportive that she has, and I commend them too for being as young as they are and supporting their friend out.
Yeah. So while she wants to not think about it at times, she's not hiding it from anybody.
No. I mean, she's probably gonna get me for this one. She was just telling me, I think this was in seventh grade, to where we were talking about the alerts. Oh, because I was writing a program actually, and I had said, I see what your settings are, and what I mean by the settings is her phone alerting her.
Mm-hmm.
And she was just telling me yesterday that at one point her alert had went off, and she kind of chalked it up as it was an Amber Alert. She let the teacher think it was an Amber Alert there for a second. So
beep beep. Uh-oh. There's a kid.
Yeah.
There's a kid in a Volkswagen we're supposed to be looking for. She just didn't want people to think that. Yeah, I mean, I get that. Like, nobody wants to be singled out, like, by anything.
It's already kind of a challenge, middle school. Yeah. It's already difficult as it is at, that, let alone and then adding something else on top of it, and to where you have these little I call her my cyborg sometimes too, because, gadgets on her. People seeing it and her having to adjust to that. So we've got through that period, I think, to where she's more open about it now. And especially, like I said, with her being in sports, she had to be very open about, hey, this is what's going to happen with me. With her coaches and her teammates.
I think it's a process, obviously, but it's a delicate age, 11, 12, 13, 14-year-old girls, right? And she's, finding her way through it. It sounds impressive that she's figuring out how to manage it. That, her friends know about it. That's terrific. Does she hide her devices? I mean, like, I don't mean like, what do I mean? I was in
I get what you're saying. In the beginning, there was some don't want to bring attention to it. Let's just say it that way. Mm-hmm. But now she's getting comfortable. She's gotten comfortable with it. She has.
Good for her. That's excellent.
Yeah. And there's more to get comfortable, but she's, and like she was just at camp last week at another volleyball camp, and there happened to be another player who was T1, and you were able to see the device. So we've seen that as we're traveling around in her world of volleyball.
Mm-hmm.
There are some, so it's like, yeah, see, they're sporting it,
Yeah.
rock it. It's you.
I saw a woman wearing I don't think this is FDA approved, but I saw a woman wearing her G6 on her forearm, the top of her forearm yesterday. And I was like, wow, that's like, was right there. I thought that was kind of cool. I asked her about it. I was like, hey, do you wear the G6 there often? She goes, and she started telling me the other places she wears it. She's like, yeah, sometimes. She's like, I get good readings here. I was like, no kidding. Cool.
Yeah, I seen one that posted a picture to where she had it like on between her shoulder blades, like right below her neck on the back. Yeah, and I'm like, that does not look comfortable whatsoever. But
if it works, right?
For them. Yeah, she said she got really good. She gets her best readings there. But I always think, like, how does she lay down and not get a compression level?
Hey, how tall is your daughter exactly? Are we going to make some college money off this volleyball thing or what?
That's the goal, right? She just went to the doctors a few days ago. She's 5'8.5".
Oh, how tall are you?
Not that tall.
How about her mom?
Not that tall.
Oh, you think 5'8" might be? 5'8's tall for a young girl.
Yeah, she's definitely in the setters range for sure. So she's been playing for a few. Like, she's been playing travel. I think this is going into her third season now. She's been playing for a while. She's double champion, back-to-back champion in her middle school.
Does she want to play in college? Does she want to go to college?
Yes. Yeah. We actually last Saturday. Yeah. No, 2 weeks ago, she went to a program to meet with. It was a 1 day, but you meet with college recruits. Mm-hmm. So I kind of thought maybe it was going to be because she's only she'll be entering high school here in like 2 weeks. Actually, 2 weeks. Thought that maybe it was too soon, but just went for it, and it was I was surprised with how many other players that are in her graduating class in 2027 that were there and ready to go.
My son started, I think he started talking to college coaches maybe when he was 15, closer to 16, that summer. And it felt like, it was enough for them to like see you and say like, oh, you're athletic, or you definitely look like a baseball player or something like that. You should come back next year. And then when he was 16, that's when it was like, it was intense for a while. There's a lot of like, how do you do it in volleyball though? Like in baseball, you show up and play in like, tournaments for recruits. Do they show up and play volleyball together? How do they do that?
Yeah. For that specific program, I think there was like 8 different universities that showed up, and then they just broke them down into teams based off of, actually, I really don't even know. I think it was kind of like at random, and then but what you're actually signing up on the preferred position, top 2 positions that you play.
Okay.
And then each coach, you're spending X amount of time with each university recruiter there, and they're teaching you based off your skill level on how they would actually teach in their program. And then they get split up for the rest of the period. So that's like 5 hours to where they're actually playing that with that coach, and then playing against the other universities and their teams. So they're small teams.
Do you have to pay for this, or is it free?
It is. What's free around here?
Oh, you're in California, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Gotta start charging you for air.
Exactly.
Okay. Yeah. I mean, the things that Cole did, generally speaking, were not free, but they were, they weren't overtly expensive. I think it felt like you were paying, like helping pay the coaches for their time, basically is what it felt like. I think it's kind of how they make some of those like assistant coaches make a little bit of their income that way. It's not, some of them are not making a ton of money to coach in their colleges. So
exactly. Yeah. Some of them are, this is like their second job. Yeah. Exactly. So, but that's a lot of it with travel too, I believe. Having to pay for that expense. But yeah, this was not a free program. She actually enjoyed it. There was a lot of feedback from, and then being told, or they were told to where if you're going into your freshman year, your first year, it is that summer, like you were just saying, that 15-16 tour. That's where the tape's going to start coming in. That's where the conversations are going to be. Like you can reach out, but you're probably just going to get that thank you for reaching out.
You're still young.
Because I don't think they can actually legally
talk to you until you're a certain age. Yeah.
Yeah.
Listen, the best thing I can tell you is that if there's two things you can do, you have to be a real honest assessor of her and take a lot of video. Those are really the things you can do. So I spent a lot of my time pointing a camera at my son until a baseball came to him, and then editing out a lot of dead stuff and, in the video. But in the end, he was able to, I think he got as much interest through video that we made as he did through being in person. So like you start sending them videos and saying like, hey, look, I'm going to be at this thing this weekend. Can I come say hello? And then they'll watch your video. And if they like it, they'll say, yeah, come find me. That's how it kind of worked there. Gotcha. It was baseball. I don't know how different it is really. You're trying to get somebody to notice you in a sea full of people doing the same thing. So
exactly.
Yeah. That's
because there's different programs that I've seen to where you can actually do a, what tournament you're going to be at, and they'll, whoever you're reaching out to, you just kind of like send them a note. I will be at this, and then they'll actually, if they're interested, because they did explain this, they will find you on the court. They'll figure out what court, or you can just say, hey, I'll be at this tournament. I'll be on this court. This is what time. This is my position. And then they said they'll engage that way.
I mean, they say that. I would say that it's more your job to get yourself in front of them.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, it's because they can't be everywhere all at once, and they might. I mean, listen, you could. I remember a day where Cole made this like incredible catch in center field. And he followed up with like this insane throw, and nobody was there. And then the next day people showed up and the ball like just never once came to him. And that was it. Like he just was standing out there. So
you had tape of him though, right?
But I had the video. So after the weekend was over, you send out he sends an email to those guys and says, hey coach, I noticed you weren't at the game where, this happened, blah, 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 but here's me doing this and this. And that kind of stuff really helped him. By the time Cole was rolling, he had a good 15 or 18 colleges interested in him. Like once he really got it moving. But we did that a lot with video. Honestly, it was a lot of effort on our side. Because they all show up to see the same stuff. And I watched Cole playing a game once in Florida, maybe, where there were 40 college coaches at the game they played in. So they brought our kids in basically to be sacrificial lambs against this like national team, like a baseball team made up of kids from all over the country. And the pitcher was thrown in the 90s, and they were only like 16 or 17 years old. So there were like 40 coaches standing behind home plate with radar guns trying to see how hard this kid could throw. Now, he could not locate a fastball to save his life, but they did not care. They loved him. He couldn't throw strikes. He was ineffective. Our team was beating them handily. And even though our team showed up and beat this collection of like studs, they didn't pay attention to one kid on our side. They paid attention to the kid who threw the ball really hard, even though he couldn't throw a strike. It's interesting what they get enamored with, is what I'm saying. So you need to remind them sometimes. You also need a person to do this, not just the guy who throws 90 miles an hour. And, that sort of thing. I don't know. If she really wants to do it and she's a good student, I guarantee she'll have success.
Excellent student.
Yeah, good for her.
I don't know where she gets that from, but excellent student.
Well, that's a big deal. I mean, and we did save a lot of money off of college. I don't even want to say how much, but it was a lot. So, it can help if you get in the right situation.
Yeah, that's definitely her goal is to play college ball. They were talking about, scholarships and, what's the possibility. And obviously it all depends on it changes from, your D1 private to D1 public and
sure.
D3. So it's all, that fluctuates, right? But that's absolutely her goal. And I always told her when she started that I will support her however, whatever that means. That, you know, this is what she wants. I mean, I was an athlete. I played basketball when I was in high school and stuff. And I only played JUCO one year. And what reason why I ended up playing JUCO? I know we're kind of going off topic here, but the reason why I played JUCO is I didn't have that tape when I was actually talking to a university and had asked me, "Hey, can you send me over tape?" I'm like, "What's that?"
Yeah, how am I doing that?
And you know, he's like, the coach, parents. I'm like, no, that didn't happen. So I got invited for a 1 day. It was like a 1 day showcase to play. And I remember when I came out during the game, I got asked if I was actually the MVP of my team. And I'm like, no, actually I sat on the pond. You know, but where I'm getting at with the tape is that's something that stood with me, because I realized that I only had this one shot, and I that was the best I've ever played. I don't even know where that came from, to tell you the honest truth. It's like I was channeling something else. But the tape, when I had heard no, I don't have this.
Yeah.
And like that hesitation on the other end of the phone. So yeah, when my daughter started really talking about this, I'm like, I will make sure that you will have tape. Sure.
Yeah. Good for you. It's nice. And actually, now that my son's out of college and doesn't play baseball anymore, like still once in a while, like in my pictures, I'll pop up and see him like in a photo standing on a field or playing or something like that. The other day I watched him hit his like last college home run in a video, like stuff like that. It's nice, you know? So you guys will have a good time. Plus I'll tell you, it's a ton of good time spent in the car. Like the driving to and from games and stuff like that is, I don't know. I remember it very fondly. So
yeah, we've done a lot of travel. I mean, me and her went to Salt Lake City this last season up to Washington. So you know, it's the travel, as expensive as it can be. It definitely has the memories.
Yeah,
expensive memories.
Yeah, try not to think about what the hotel room costs. Just try to remember the lovely conversation you had in the car. Oh my God.
And it's whether they're doing good or bad, you're like going, what? Okay.
Oh, yeah. There's nothing like flying somewhere to lose. That's fun.
Yeah. Experienced a couple of those so far, and it's like, oh man. But
that's why also when you're collecting video, you can still play well in a situation where the team does not do well. And you still might have something to share at that point. So,
absolutely.
Yeah.
And now there's definitely that. Then there's also the character building, even though she's not going to like it when I say that, but to overcome that adversity, that adversity that you're going up against, to kind of keep thriving and pushing each other. That goes a long way, in my opinion.
Oh yeah.
Because of what is being, there's no giving up. You're fighting as long as you guys are fighting together, and trying to bring the morale up as a team. To me, that's the big takeaway.
Oh, for sure. Yeah. Oh, Ethan, most of those girls aren't going to end up playing volleyball in the Olympics. You know what I mean? So
exactly,
you're going to.
But this is something that's definitely going to carry over into the workforce,
into your real life. Yeah. For sure. Like I think the most successful kids I know now in their early 20s were the kids who lost at baseball. More like the kids who were super successful. Like I don't know what they took from it. They won baseball games, but they didn't have a ton of life lessons at all. And so then exactly. you get in the real world. Like, I don't know how valuable it is to be like, I can hit a baseball. Like, good for you. That doesn't help me at your job. Like maybe I work out hard or I'm consistent. Like that stuff's all valuable. But I mean, the losing's far more valuable than the winning, I think.
Absolutely. Yeah. I totally agree. It's just like, how do you overcome this? And you have to figure out how to overcome this together. Because something can happen at work or something can happen in personal life and, in her family. Like you have to figure out how to communicate and overcome it. And it's challenging. You might not be in that headspace because you're upset, you're frustrated, you're playing bad, your teammates playing bad. But how do you support? And that's why I keep instilling, like, how you have to figure out how to support that.
Yeah, we're going to do this again tomorrow. This went terribly. And we're going to get up tomorrow and do it again.
I always say short-term amnesia.
Yeah.
Short-term amnesia. Just keep going out there. Just keep going. Get the next one. Get the next one. Get the next one.
Perfect life lesson. Honestly, it's the way you have to take care of diabetes too. You can't,
exactly.
You can't have a bad now, Ethan. Now I finally have brought this all the way around to you being scared from the one time your kid was sick. Don't you have to forget that and move on?
I see what you did there.
It took me a while, Ethan, but I did get to it. Honestly, I thought I was going to get it done 10 minutes ago, and then we went off track a little bit. But yeah, but seriously, that, you know, sports, life, diabetes, it's all the same, really. You just, you know, you got to get back at it. So I don't know. I don't want you leaving your kid's blood sugar 160, 120 overnight if it doesn't need to be. Because
absolutely. Like I said, yeah. I'm always adjusting that and seeing what she's going to do. I don't want her being up there too. I don't know if she's feeling bad either, but you know, but yeah, no, I do have to figure out how to, I mean, for one, the one thing is she's kind of like in the middle of me and her mom. Like she'll be more, okay, this is what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna go ahead and be a little bit more aggressive, which is good for her because that at the end of the day, in a few years when she guys go off to college, we'll still be watching from afar because who knows where she'll be at.
Yeah,
and it's gonna be completely on her. So that's more. Even though I might be hesitant and reserved, at least she's not.
Well, you'll grow with it too. I mean, you're not going to be the person you are right now for the whole time. I also think for your sanity and your sleep, if you could make one more slightly aggressive bolus at night instead of like little ones and sitting up for hours, that'd be better for you, which would be better for her. You know, like you could actually like knock a number down and get some sleep.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, I don't want you sitting up all night, man. The no sleep thing, I'll tell you from my experience, the no sleep thing in the beginning, I was like, oh, I can do this. Like, this is what needs to be done and I can do it. But I'm just going to tell you that after a while, it's untenable and you can't keep it going anymore. And now you're just going to not know how to handle the high blood sugar overnight and you're going to pass out and be asleep. A lack of sleep has such a horrible impact on a person. And it's very incremental the way it comes over you. So you don't notice it happening. Just one day you're exhausted and that's your new normal. And that sucks. So anyway, I don't want that for you.
I appreciate that.
Yeah. Ethan, you were terrific, man. Is there anything we haven't talked about that we should have?
No, this is actually great. I mean, this is actually my first podcast doing this. So
no, you were terrific, man.
Thank you for the experience.
Of course. No, it's my pleasure. I appreciate you wanting to do it. I appreciate your ex making you do it. Why did she want you to do it?
No, actually, I just recently told her about it because it popped up saying, hey, yeah, I'm doing this podcast, by the way.
Oh, so she didn't know. You reached out.
Yeah, I reached out. I had seen it on Facebook.
Nice. Good for you. You enjoyed it? You enjoyed doing this?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. How come your headset sounds so good? You have like gamer headset?
No, actually, I just conducted my first interview as a podcast host last week. So I'm into technical marketing.
Okay.
So yeah, I create content videos and stuff like that. So that's why.
Oh, no kidding. Good for you. Oh, that's excellent. Well, you sound terrific. So you're off to a good start there.
Thank you.
I appreciate it. Hold on 1 second for me. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Thanks. A huge thanks to Dexcom for supporting the podcast and for sponsoring this episode. Dexcom.com/juicebox. Go get yourself a Dexcom G7 right now using my link. A huge thank you to one of today's sponsors, Gvoke Glucagon. Find out more about Gvoke HypoPen at gvokeglucagon.com/juicebox. You spell that GVOKEGLUCAGON.com/juicebox. If you're looking for community around type 1 diabetes, check out the Juicebox Podcast private Facebook group, Juicebox Podcast, Type 1 Diabetes. But everybody is welcome. Type 1, Type 2, gestational, loved ones, it doesn't matter to me. If you're impacted by diabetes and you're looking for support, comfort, or community, check out Juicebox Podcast, Type 1 Diabetes on Facebook. Thank you so much for listening. I'll be back soon with another episode of the Juicebox Podcast. The episode you just heard was professionally edited by Wrong Way Recording. WrongWayRecording.com.